Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to pack our virtual bags and go on an amazing journey. We'll be following a family's incredible adventure across the Bay of Bengal to the beautiful Andaman Islands. Let's get right into it. Okay, before we dive into the story, let's get our brains warmed up with a quick question. Have you ever been on a ship? Just think for a second. How would that feel different from riding a train or a bus? It's a totally unique experience, and we're about to find out just how special it can be. Here's a quick peek at our itinerary for the trip. We'll start with how they got ready, then see what life is like on a giant ship. After that, we'll explore the islands, check out some history and nature, and finally, wrap it all up with the family's best memories. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's get this trip started. First up, preparing for our trip. Let's see exactly how this family's big adventure kicked off. So, the journey kicks off on April 25th with a train ride to Chennai. But the real adventure, well, that started when they boarded this massive ship headed for Port Blair. The narrator was totally blown away. They said it was even bigger than their school building. Can you imagine that? Wow, just picture this for a second. You're standing on the deck, watching all the city lights, the buildings, the factory chimneys slowly get smaller and smaller until they just fade away. And then it's just you, surrounded by the vast, dark, quiet ocean. So you're on this giant ship for days. What do you even do? What's it really like? Well, that's what we're jumping into in our second section, a city on the sea. You won't believe this. The ship was basically a floating city. It had everything. I'm talking restaurants, fancy shops. You could even get a haircut in the saloon. And get this, they even had medical staff on board just in case you got seasick, and the crew was super friendly to everyone. And then something truly magical happened. On the second day, the sun was shining, the sea was calm, and then out of nowhere, dolphins! A whole pod of them started swimming right alongside the ship, jumping and diving, putting on this incredible show for everybody on board. All right, after 2 whole days out on the water, it's finally happened. Land, we're here in Section 3. Our travelers have arrived at their destination, Port Blair, the capital of the Andaman Islands. So as soon as they arrived, the narrator was super curious and asked their dad, "Hey, where exactly are we?" He explained that the islands are right here in the Bay of Bengal, kind of nestled right between the coast of India and Myanmar. And we're not just talking about 1 or 2 islands here. The dad explained that this is an archipelago, which is a big group of islands, and this one is made up of about 600 islands in total. 600! But here's the really wild part. Out of all those 600 islands, people only actually live on 37 of them. That means the vast majority are just pure, untouched nature. So these islands are the native home of Aboriginal tribes, who are the original people of this place. But what's also really cool is that the narrator noticed that the populated areas feel like a miniature India, with people from all different cultures and faiths living together peacefully. Okay, they've arrived, they're settled in, and now the real fun begins. Exploring. Section 4 takes us through Port Blair, a place packed with history, incredible reefs, and, yep, even turtles. First stop is the famous Cellular Jail, a national monument. Now, it was originally built by the British as a prison, but today it has a very different purpose. It's actually been converted into a large hospital, serving the community while preserving its important history. Next up was an amazing experience at the Mahatma Gandhi Marine National Park. This place is huge. It's spread across 15 islands. And to see all the underwater treasures without getting wet, they hopped on one of these awesome glass-bottomed boats. And what a sight it was. Looking down through the glass floor, they saw vibrant coral reefs, fish of every color you can imagine, and graceful sea turtles swimming by. The narrator and their sister Amala were so thrilled they actually cheered for the animals, feeling like they were right there in the water with them. The adventure doesn't stop there. For Section 5, the family takes a ferry over to Havelock Island, which is famous for its absolutely stunning beaches and fun activities. While visiting a place called Elephant Beach, the narrator saw something totally new. People in special gear with air cylinders on their backs diving deep into the sea. This was their first time seeing scuba diving up close, and it really sparked a sense of adventure. Okay, now this is something you don't see every day. At Radhanagar Beach, surrounded by beautiful white sand and green forests, they got to take a jolly ride on an elephant right along the shoreline. How incredible is that? Of course, a trip to a coastal paradise isn't complete without trying the local food. The family feasted on delicious tandoori fish and all sorts of other fresh seafood, and they said it was a real highlight of their trip. And that brings us to our final section, an unforgettable journey. After all the travel, the sights, and the adventures, what was the lasting impression of this incredible trip? I think the narrator's own words capture the feeling perfectly. The memory of the amazing food, the fun on the beach, and the beautiful sights all came together to create an experience that will last a lifetime. It was, truly, an unforgettable trip. And that leads to a final question for you. We've seen so much, from exploring coral reefs in a glass-bottomed boat to riding an elephant on the beach. Of all these amazing activities, which one would you want to try the most? Thanks for joining us on this trip to the Andaman Islands today.